What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Chapter 4 of Prisoner of Azkaban, the Leaky Cauldron. It took Harry several days to get used to his strange new freedom. Never before had he been able to get up whenever he wanted or eat whatever he fancied. He could even go wherever he pleased, as long as it was in Diagon Alley. And as this long cobbled street was packed with the most fascinating wizard shops in the world, Harry felt no desire to break his word to Fudge and stray back into the Muggle world. Harry ate breakfast each morning in the Leaky Cauldron, where he liked watching the other guests. Funny little witches from the country. Up for a day's shopping, venerable looking wizards arguing with the latest article in Transfiguration Today. Wild looking warlocks, rapacious dwarfs, and once, what looked suspiciously like a hag, he ordered a plate of raw liver from behind a thick, woolen balaclava. Balaclava? I don't know how the hell to pronounce that. After breakfast, Harry would go out into the backyard. Take out his go back out, tap his wand, tap the third brick from the left above the trash bin, and stand back as the archway into Diagon Alley opened in the wall. Harry spent the long, sunny days exploring the shops and eating under the brightly colored umbrellas outside the cafes, where his fellow dinners were showing one another their purchases. Diners were showing one another their purchases. It's a lunoscope, old boy. No more messing around with those moon charts, see? We're also discussing the case of Sirius Black. Personally, I won't let any of the children out until he's back in Azkaban. Harry didn't have to do his homework under the blankets or flashlight anymore. Now he could sit in the bright sunshine outside Florian Fortescue's ice cream parlor, finishing all his essays with the occasional help from Florian Fortescue himself, who, apart from knowing a great deal about medieval witching burnings, gave Harry free Sundays every half hour. It's cool, huh? Once, Harry had refilled his money bag with gold galleons, silver sickles, and brown canoes from his vault in Green Guards. He had exercised a lot of self-control not to spend a whole lot at once. He had to keep reminding himself that he had 5 years to go at Hogwarts. How would it feel to ask the Dursleys for money for spellbooks? To stop himself from buying a handsome set of solid gold gobstones? A wizarding game, rather like marbles, in which the stones squirt a nasty smelling liquid in the other player's face when they lose a point. He was sorely tempted to, by the perfect, moving model of the galaxy in a large glass ball, which would have meant he never had to take another astronomy lesson. But the thing that tested Harry's resolution most appeared in his favorite shop, quality Quidditch supplies. A week after he arrived at the Cauldron, curious to know what the crowd in the shop was staring at, Harry edged his way inside and squeezed in among the excited witches and wizards, where he glimpsed a newly erected podium, on which was mounted the most significant broom he had ever seen in his life. Just come out, prototype, the square-jawed wizard was telling his companion. It's the fastest broom in the world, isn't it, Dog? Squeaked a boy younger than Harry, who was swinging off his father's arm. Irish International size just put it in order for 7 of these beauties, the proprietor of the shop had told her, and their favorites for the World Cup. A large witch in front of Harry moved. He was able to read the sign next to the broom. The Firebolt. This state-of-the-art racing broom sports a streamlined, superfine handle of ash, treated with a diamond hard polish, and hard numbered with its own registration number. Each individually selected birch twig in the broom tail has been honed to aerodynamic perfection, giving the Firebolt unsurpassable balance and pinpoint precision. firebolt has an acceleration of 150 miles an hour in 10 seconds and incorporates an unbreakable braking charm. Price on request. Price on request? Harry didn't like to think how much gold firebolt would cost. How much gold the firebolt would cost. He had never won anything as much in his whole life. But he had never lost a Quidditch match on his Nimbus 2000. But what's the point emptying his Gringotts vault for a firebolt when he had a very good broom already? Harry didn't ask for the price, but he returned almost every day after that, just to look at the firebolt. There are, however, things that Harry needed to buy. He went to the apothecary to replenish the store of potion ingredients, and as the school robes are now several inches too short in the arms and legs, he visited Madame Malcolm's robes for all occasions and bought new ones. Most important of all, he had to buy his new school books, which would include those for his two new subjects, care of magical creatures and divination. Harry got surprised as he looked in the bookshop window. Instead of the usual display of the golden boast, spellbooks in the size of paving slabs, there was a large iron cage behind the glass that held about 100 copies of the Monster Book of Monsters. Torn pages were flying everywhere as the book grappled with each other, brought to get together in a furious wrestling matches and snapping aggressively. Harry pulled his book list out of his pockets and consulted it for the first time. The Monster Book of Monsters was listed as the required book of care of magical creatures. Now Harry understood why Hagrid had said it would come in useful. He felt relieved. He had been wondering whether Hagrid wanted help with some terrifying new pet. As Harry entered Flourish and Blotts, the manager came hurrying toward him. Hogwarts, he said abruptly. Can we get new books? Yes, I need. Get out of the way, said the manager impatiently, brushing Harry aside. He drew on a pair of very thick gloves, picked up a large and knobbly walking stick, and proceeded toward the door of the monster's book's cage. Hang on, Harry said quickly. I've already got one of those. Have you? A look of enormous relief spread over the manager's face. Thank heavens for that. I've been bitten 5 times already this morning. A loud ripping noise went through the air. 2 of the monster books had seized the third and were pulling it apart. Stop it! Stop it! cried the manager, poking the walking stick through the bars and knocking the books apart. I'm never gonna stock these books ever again. It's been better then. I thought we'd seen the worst when we bought 200 copies of the Invisible Books of Invisibility. It cost a fortune. We never found them. Well, is there anything else I can help you with? Yes, said Harry, looking down his book list. I need Unfogging the Future by Cassandra Bablatatsky. Ah, starting divination, are you? said the manager, stripping off his gloves and leading Harry into the back of the shop, where there was a corner devoted to fortune telling. A small table stacked with volumes such as Predicting the Unpredictable. Insulate yourself against shocks and broken balls, or fortune's turn thou. Here you are, said the manager, who had climbed up a step to take down a thick black-bound book, fogging the beer. Very good guide to all your basic fortune-telling methods. Palmistry, crystal balls, burden trails. But Harry wasn't looking. His eyes had fallen on another book, which was among on display on a small table. Death Omens. What to do when you know the worst is coming. Oh, I wouldn't read that if I were you, said the manager, lightly, looking to see where Harry was staring at. You'll start seeing death omens everywhere. It's enough to frighten anyone to death. But Harry continued to stare at the front cover of the book. It showed a black dog large as a bear, gleaming eyes. Looks oddly familiar. The manager pressed unplugging the feature into Harry's hands. Anything else? Er, yes, said Harry, tearing his eyes away from the dog's dazzlingly consulting his book list. Any intermediate transfiguration and standard spells, great joy. Harry emerged from flourish and blots 10 minutes later with his new books under his arms and made his way back to Leaky Cauldron. Hardly noticed where he was going. He was bumping into several people. He tramped up the stairs to his room, went aside, and took his books onto his bed. Somebody had been into tidy. The windows were open and the sun was pouring inside. Harry could hear the buses rolling in the unseen Muggle street behind them, and the sound of the invisible crowd below in Diagon Alley. He caught sight of himself in the mirror over the bed and said, "It can't have been a death omen," he told his reflection defiantly. "I was panicking when I saw that thing on Magnolia Crescent. It's probably just a stray dog." He raised his hand automatically and tried to make his hair lie flat. "You're fighting a losing battle there, dear," said his mirror in a wheezy voice. As the days slipped by, Harry started looking wherever he went for a sign of Ron and Hermione. Plenty of Hogwarts students were arriving in Diagon Alley now. The start of term so near. Harry met Seamus Finnegan and Dean Thomas, his fellow Gryffindors, and quality Quidditch supplies, where they too were ogling in the fireball. The other end had reeled a long row, a round-faced, forgetful boy, outside Flourish and Blocks. Harry didn't stop to chat. Nova appeared to have mislaid his book list and was being told off by his very formidable-looking grandmother. Harry hoped she had never found out that he'd been pretending to be Neville on the Ministry of Magic. Harry woke up on the last day of the holidays, thinking that at least Ron and Hermione on the Hogwarts Express. Harry woke up on the last day of the holidays, thinking that he would at least meet Ron and Hermione tomorrow on the Hogwarts Express. Yeah, that just went for a last look at the fireball. Was just wondering where he'd have lunch when someone yelled his name and he turned. "Harry! Harry!" They were there, both of them, sitting outside Florian Force's ice cream parlor. Ron looking incredibly freckly, Hermione looking very brown. Both waving frantically at him. "Finally," said Ron, grinning at Harry as he sat down. "We went to the Leaky Cauldron, but said you left. We went to Flourish and Blotts and Madame Hopkins, and we got all my school stuff last week." Harry explained. "And how come you knew I was staying at the Leaky Cauldron?" "Dad," said Ron simply. "Mr. Weasley, who worked at the Ministry of Magic, would have, of course, heard the whole story of what had happened to Aunt March." "You really blew up your aunt, Harry," said Hermione in a very severe voice, in a very serious voice. "I didn't mean to," said Harry, while Ron roared with laughter. "I just lost control." "It's not funny, Ron," said Hermione sharply. "Honestly, I'm amazed Teddy wasn't expelled." "So am I," admitted Harry. "Forget expelled. I thought I was going to be arrested." He looked at Ron. "Your dad doesn't know why Fudge let me off, does he?" "Probably because it's you, isn't it?" shouted Ron, still chuckling. "Famous Harry Potter and all that. I hate to see what the ministry lose to me if I blew up my aunt. Mind you, they'd have to dig me up first, because Mom would have killed me. Anyway, you can ask Dad yourself this evening. I'm staying at the Leaky Cauldron tonight, too. So, you can come to King's Cross with us tomorrow. Hermione's there as well." Hermione nodded, beaming. "Mom and Dad dropped me off this morning with all my Hogwarts things." "Excellent. said Harry happily. So have you got all your new books and stuff? Look at this, said Ron, pulling a long, thin box out of a bag and opening it. Brand new one, 14 inches, willow, containing one unicorn tail hair. And we got all the books. He pointed at a large bag under his chair. What about those monster books, though, eh? The assistant nearly cried when we said we wanted to. We saw that, Hermione, Harry asked, pointing at not one, but three bulging bags in the chair next to her. Well, I'm taking more new subjects than you, aren't I, Hermione? Those are my books for arithmetic, care of magical creatures, divination, study of ancient runes, muggle studies. What are you doing muggle studies for? Said Ron, rolling his eyes at Harry. You're muggle born. Your mom and dad are muggles. You already knew all about muggles. But it would be fascinating to study where they're from, to study them from a wizarding point of view, said Hermione earnestly. Are you planning to eat or sleep at all this year, Hermione? Asked Harry, while Ron sniggered. Hermione ignored them. Still got 10 galleons, she said, shaking her purse. It's my birthday in September. Mom and Dad gave me some money to get myself an early birthday present. How about a nice book? Said Ron innocently. No, I don't think so, said Hermione composedly. I really want an owl. I mean, Hannah's got Hedwig and you've got Arrow. I haven't, said Ron. Arrow's a family owl. I'll let go to Scabrous. He pulled his pet rat out of his pockets. I want to get him checked over, he added, placing Scabrous on the table in front of him. Don't think Egypt agreed with him. Scabrous was looking thinner than usual, and there was a definite droop in his whiskers. There's a magical creature shop just over there, said Harry, who knew Diagon Alley very well by now. Could see if they've got anything for Scabbers. Hermione can get an owl. So they paid for their ice cream and crossed the street to the magical menagerie. There wasn't much room inside. Every inch of the wall was hidden by cages. It was smelly and very noisy, because the occupants of these cages were all squeaking, squawking, jabbering, or hissing. The witch behind the counter was already advising the wizard on the care of double-ended newts. So Harry, Ron, and Hermione waited, examining the cages. A pair of enormous purple toads sat gulping wetly and feasting on dead butterflies. Blowflies. A gigantic tortoise with a jewel-encrusted shell was glittering near the window. Poisonous orange snails were oozing slowly up the side of their glass tank. And a fat white rabbit kept changing into a silk top hat, and back again with a loud popping noise. Then there were cats of every color, a noisy cage of ravens, a basket of funny custard-colored fur balls that are humming loudly, and down the corner, a vast cage of sleek black rats that are playing some sort of skipping game using their long bald tails. The double-ended newt was your left, and approached the counter. Small rat. He's been a bit off color since I brought him back from Egypt. Bang him on the counter, said the witch, pulling a heavy pair of black spectacles out of her pocket. Ron looked the scatters out of his inside pocket and placed them next to the cage of his fellow rats, who stopped their skipping tricks and scuffled to the wire for a better look. Like nearly everything Ron owned, Scabbers the rat was second-hand. He had once belonged to Ron's brother Percy, and a bit battered. Next to the glossy rats in the cage, he looked especially woebegone. Said the witch, picking up Scabbers. How old is this rat? Don't know, quite old. Yes, it belongs to my brother. What powers does he have? Said the witch, examining Scabbers closely. Er, truth was that Scabbers had never shown the faintest trace of interesting powers. The witch's eye moved from Scabbers' tattered left ear to his paw, which had a toe missing, tuttered loudly. He's been going through the middle of this one. He was like that when Pussy gave him to me, said Ron defensively. Any ordinary common or garden rat like this can't be expected to live longer than 2 years or so. If you're looking for something a bit more hard-wearing, you might like one of these. She indicated black rats, who promptly started skipping around again. Ron muttered, show-offs. Well, if you don't want a replacement, you can try this toner, said the witch, reaching under the counter, bringing out a small red bottle. Okay, how much? Ouch! Ron buckled as something huge and orange came soaring from the top of the highest cage, landed on his head, and propelled itself, spinning madly at Scabbers. Another 9 pages. No, Crookshanks, no! Cried the witch. The Scabbers shot from between her hands like a bar of soap, landed splay-legged on the floor, and then scampered for the door. Scabbers! Ron shouted, racing out of the top booth after him. Harry followed. It took them nearly 10 minutes to catch Scabbers, who had taken refuge under a waste paper bin outside Quality Quitters Supplies. Ron stuffed a trembling rat back into his pocket and straightened up, massaging his head. What was that? It was either a very big cat or quite a small tiger, said Harry. Where's Hermione? Probably getting her out. They made their way back up the crowded street to the magical menagerie. As they reached it, Hermione came out, but she wasn't carrying an owl. Her arms were clamped tightly around an enormous ginger cat. You bought that monster, said Ron, his mouth hanging open. He's gorgeous, isn't he? Said Hermione, glowing. That was a matter of opinion, thought Harry. The cat's ginger fur was thick and fluffy, but it was definitely a bit bow-legged, and his face looked grumpy and oddly squashed. He had run headlong into a brick wall. Now that Scabbers was out of sight, however, the cat was purring contentedly into Hermione's arms. Hermione, the thing that escaped me, said Ron. He didn't mean to, did you, Crookshanks? Said Hermione. And what about Scabbers? Said Ron, pointing at the lump in his chest pocket. He needs rest and relaxation. How's he going to get it with that thing around? That reminds me, forget your rat tonic. Slapping the small red bottle into Ron's hands. Stop worrying. Crookshanks will be sleeping in my dormitory. Scabbers is in yours. Scabbers is in yours. What's the problem? Poor Crookshanks. Poor Crookshanks. That witch said he's been in there for ages. No one's wanted him. I wonder why, said Ron sarcastically as they set off toward the leaky cauldron. They found Mr. Weasley sitting in the bar, reading the Daily Prophet. Harry, he smiled, beginning to look up. How are you? Fine, thanks, said Harry. See, Ron and Hermione joined Mr. Weasley with all their shopping. Mr. Weasley put his paper down, and Harry saw the now familiar picture of Sirius Black staring up at him. You still haven't caught him, then? No, said Mr. Weasley, looking extremely grave. They published all of our regular jobs in minutes to try to find him, but no luck so far. Would we get a reward if we caught him? Asked Ron. It'd be good to get some more money. Don't be ridiculous, Ron, said Mr. Weasley, who was on closer inspection looked very strange. Black's not going to be caught by a 13-year-old wizard. Azkaban guards will get him back. You mark my words. At that moment, Mrs. Weasley entered the bar, laden with shopping bags and followed by the twins, Fred and George, who were about to start their fifth year at Hogwarts. The newly elected head boy, Percy, and Weasley's younger child, and the only girl, Ginny. Appreciate it, Tickles. Hey, you have a good day at work, man. Jenny, who had always been very taken with Harry, seemed even more heartily embarrassed than usual when she saw him. Perhaps because he had saved her life during the previous year at Hogwarts. She went very red and muttered, "Hello," without looking at him. Percy, however, held out his hand solemnly as though he and Harry had never met and said, "Harry, nice to see you." "Hello, Percy," said Harry, trying not to laugh. "I hope you're well," said Percy, pompously shaking hands. It was rather like being introduced to the mayor. "Very well, thanks." "Harry," said Fred, elbowing Percy out of the way and bowing deeply. "Simply splendid to see you, old boy." "Marvelous," said George, pushing Fred aside and seizing Harry's hand in turn. "Absolutely spiffing." "Hey, old man, who is doing?" Percy scowled. "That's enough now," said Mrs. Weasley. "Mum," said Fred, as though he'd only just spotted her and seizing her hand too. "I'm really clocking to see you." "I said that's enough," said Mrs. Weasley, pausing her shopping into an empty chair. "Hello, Harry dear. I suppose you've heard our exciting news." She pointed to the brand new silver badge on Percy's chest. "Second head boy in the family," she said, swelling with pride. "And last," Fred muttered under his breath. "I don't doubt that," said Mrs. Weasley, frowning silently. "I notice they haven't made you two prefects." "What do we want to be prefects for?" said George, looking revolted at the very idea. "It'd take all the fun out of life." Jenny giggled. "You want to set a better example for your sister," snapped Mrs. Weasley. "Jenny's got other brothers to set an example for her, mother," said Percy loftily. "I'm going to change for dinner." He disappeared and George heaved a sigh. "We tried to shut him in a pyramid," he told Harry, "but Mom spotted us." Dinner that night was a very enjoyable affair. Tom the innkeeper put 3 tables together in the parlor, and the 7 Weasleys, Harry, and Hermione ate their way through 5 delicious courses. "How are we getting to King's Cross tomorrow, Dad?" asked Fred, as they dug into sumptuous chocolate pudding. "The ministry is providing a couple of cars," said Mr. Weasley. "Everyone with him." "Why?" "It's because of you, Puss," said George seriously. "There'll be little flags on the hoods with HB on them. For humongous big head," said Fred. Everyone except Percy and Mrs. Weasley snorted into their pudding. "Why are the ministry providing cars, Father?" Percy asked again in a dignified voice. "Well, as we haven't got one anymore," said Mr. Weasley, "and as I work there, they're doing me a favor." His voice was casual, but Harry couldn't help notice that Mr. Weasley's ears had gone red, just like Ron's did when he was under pressure. "Good thing, too," said Mrs. Weasley briskly. "Do you realize how much luggage you all have between you? A nice sight you'd be on the Muggle Underground. You're all packed, aren't you?" "Ron hasn't put all of his new things in his trunk yet," said Percy, in a long, suffering voice. "He dumped them all on my bed. You better go and pack properly, Ron, because we don't want to have too much time in the morning." Mrs. Weasley called down to the table. Ron scowled at Percy. After dinner, everyone felt very full and sleepy. One by one, they made their way upstairs to their rooms to check their things for the next day. Ron and Percy were next to Harry. Were next door to Harry. He had just closed and locked his own trunk when he heard angry voices through the hall. He went to go see what was going on. Number of the door, 12, was ajar. Percy was shouting. It was here, on the bedside table. I took it off for polishing. I haven't touched it, all right? Ron roared back. What's up? Said Harry. My head boy badge is gone, said Percy, rounding on Harry. So Scabbers right, Tonic, said Ron, throwing things out of his trunk to look. I think I must have left it in the bar. You're not going anywhere till you found my badge, yelled Percy. I'll get Scabbers' stuff unpacked, Harry said to Ron. He went downstairs. Harry was halfway down the long passage to the bar, which was now very dark, when he heard another pair of angry voices coming from the parlor. A second later, he recognized them as Mr. and Mrs. Weasley. He hesitated, not wanting them to know he'd heard them arguing, when the sound of his own name made him stop, then moved closer to the parlor door. Makes no sense not to tell him, Mr. Weasley was saying heatedly. Harry's got a right to know. Tried to fudge, but he insists on treating Harry like a child. He's 13 years old and Arthur, the truth would terrify him, said Mrs. Weasley irresolutely. He really wants to send Harry back to school, with that hanging over him forever. For heaven's sake, he's happy not knowing. I don't want to make him miserable. I want to put him on guard, retorted Mr. Weasley. You know what Harry and Ron are like, wandering off by themselves. They even end up in the Forbidden Forest. But Harry mustn't do that this year. When I think that they could have happened to them that night, he ran away from home. If the night's bus hadn't picked him up, I'm prepared to bet he would have been dead before the minute she found him. But he's not dead. He's fine. So what's the point? Molly, they say Sirius Black's a madman. Mad. Maybe. He is. But he was clever enough to escape from Azkaban. And that's supposed to be impossible. It's been a month, and no one's been able to see hide nor hair of him. I don't care what Fudge keeps telling the Daily Prophet. We're no nearer catching Black than inventing self-spelling wands. Self-spelling wands. The only thing we know for sure is what Black's after. But Harry would be perfectly safe at Hogwarts. We thought Azkaban was perfectly safe. If Black can break into Azkaban, he can break into Hogwarts. But no one's really sure that Black's after Harry. There was a thud on wood. Harry was sure Mr. Weasley had just banged his fist on the table. Molly, how many times do I have to tell you? They didn't report it in the press because Fudge wanted to keep it quiet. Fudge went out to Azkaban the night Black escaped. The guards went out to Azkaban the night Black escaped. The guards told Fudge the Black's been talking in his sleep for a while now. Always the same words. He's at Hogwarts. He's at Hogwarts. Black is just strange, Molly. He wants Harry dead. If you ask me, he thinks murdering Harry will bring you-know-who back to power. Black lost everything the night Harry stopped you-know-who. And he's had 12 years alone in Azkaban to brood on it. There was a silence. Harry leaned closer to the door, desperate to hear more. Well, Arthur, you must do what you think is right. But you're forgetting Albus Dumbledore. I don't think anyone could hurt Harry at Hogwarts but Dumbledore's headmaster. I suppose he knows about all this. Of course he knows. We didn't ask him if he minds the Azkaban guards station themselves around the entrances in the school grounds. He wasn't happy, but he agreed. Not happy? Why should he be happy? They're there to catch Black. Dumbledore isn't fond of the Azkaban guards, said Mr. Weasley heavily. Nor am I if it comes to that. But when they are doing things like a wizard, like Black, you sometimes join forces with those you'd rather avoid. If they save Harry, then I will never say another bad word against him, said Mr. Weasley wearily. Slate Molly, you better get going. Harry heard chairs move. As quiet as he could, he hurried down the passage to the bar and out of sight. The parlor door opened a few seconds later. Footsteps told him that Mr. and Mrs. Weasley were climbing the stairs. The bottle of rat tonic was lying under the table they had sat at earlier. Harry waited until he heard Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's bedroom door close, then headed backward up with the room with the bottle. Fred and George were crouching in the shadows of the landing. Leaving with Oster, they listened to Percy dismantling his room and Ron's, and searched for his badge. You've got it, Fred whispered to Harry. You've been improving it. The badge now said read, Big Head Boy. Harry forced a laugh and went to give Ron the rat tonic, and shut himself into the room and lay down on his bed. So Sirius Black was after him. That explained everything. Fudge had been lenient with him because he was so relieved to find him alive. He made Harry promise to stay in Diagon Alley, where there were plenty of wizards to keep an eye on him. And he was sending 2 ministry cars to take them all to a station. Sorry, Jack. So that way the Weasleys could look after Harry until he was on the train. Harry lay listening to the muffled shouting next door and wondered why he didn't feel more scared. Sirius Black had murdered 13 people with one curse. Mr. and Mrs. Weasley obviously thought Harry would be panic-stricken if he knew the truth. But Harry happened to agree wholeheartedly with Mrs. Weasley that the safest place on Earth was wherever Albus Dumbledore happened to be. Didn't people always say that Dumbledore was the only person Lord Voldemort had ever been afraid of? Surely Black, as Voldemort's right-hand man, would be just as frightened of him. And there were these Azkaban guards everyone kept on talking about. They seemed to scare most people senseless. And they were stationed all around the school. Black's chances of getting inside seemed very remote. No, all in all, the thing that bothered Harry most was the fact that his chances of visiting Hogsmeade now looked like 0. Nobody would want Harry to leave the safety and the castle until Black was in fact caught. In fact, Harry suspected his every move would be more carefully watched until the danger had passed. He scowled at the dark ceiling. Did they think he could look at him afraid of himself? Yeah, he'd escaped Lord Voldemort 3 times. He wasn't completely useless. Unbidden, the image of the beast in the shadows of Magnolia Crescent crossed his mind. What do you do when you know the worst is coming? I'm not going to be murdered, Harry said loudly. That's the spirit, dear, Miss Mirror said sleepily. All right, everybody. That was chapter 4. Next chapter is chapter 5, The Dementor. But I am too tired to finish reading. So that has been this video for today. If you guys liked it, go ahead and give it a like up, thumbs up. And if not, oh well. Till the next one, Daves out. Peace. Like, share, and subscribe.